Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This big show where we talk about TV shows that are crime dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the Season 4 premiere of Walker. Great season premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, it's been 5 months since the season 3 finale, which I think it's interesting because I'm grateful for the recap because there's a lot of those story beats I didn't remember. I remember Larry and Kelly's wedding, but like the Jackal, I'd completely forgotten about the Sadie and Stella circumstance, so I thought that was really interesting. I completely forgotten about that, but it's been like 5 months, which I thought was kind of interesting. Thought we would have picked up immediately afterwards, but to be fair, it's like I think the show's always done that in between seasons. Like even from season 1 to season 2, I think was like there was a chunk of time. I want to say I know season 2 to 3, like there was like a 3 started immediately where season 2 left off, but I want to say maybe the second or third episode they skipped like a couple weeks or maybe a few months or something like that. I think that was the case, but maybe I'm misremembering. Either way, obviously Trey, Larry, and Walker are working a case. Obviously, it's like their new dynamic. Obviously, they haven't had Cassie for the past 5 months. We end up finding out there's actually been radio silence on her part. And I was wondering if that was in some conjunction with the whole situation with Trey. Also kind of a little scary, too, because I think for Walker, like, you know, they've all kind of had to deal with, specifically Larry, but also Walker himself has had to deal with the whole, like, radio silence of it all. It's just like, right, he was kind of dealing with his own stuff. It doesn't seem like Cassie's circumstances are that. I was wondering if it was related to Trey. Even he's like, yo, I hope I didn't make things awkward at Larry's wedding, but it's like, no, it's not even about that. It's because we ultimately find out that she is being offered a job, like to make the FBI thing more permanent. She's going to have a position at Quantico, and she's kind of thinking about taking it. Which I was about to say, oh, really? Or is this going to be like, is this Ashley Reyes, the actress who plays Cassie, is this her leaving? But it's like she's kind of torn between both sides because it's like, right, coming back to work this operation with the Rangers made her feel at home, but this is a great opportunity working with the FBI to help on a bigger scale, you know, make a difference on a bigger scale. So she's kind of torn and hasn't made a decision yet. So it's not clear cut which way it's going to go. You'd assume she's going to stay, but we'll have to wait and see because Larry is saying like, oh, you'll have to trust me on staying, that you'll be able to do a lot more good here, which I'm wondering is that because Larry, once again, he wanted Mick to be like his replacement. Then it kind of seemed like he wanted Trey to be that replacement. So I'm wondering, is he more so like now setting up Cassie to be that replacement? I felt like it was still Trey, but maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe, once again, I've forgotten quite a bit about last season, so I do apologize. But obviously, once again, it's the family dynamic, too, on top of working all these cases. I mean, obviously, Jerry and Walker in their good place. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of nice hearing Jerry be like, oh, yeah, like saying the words, my boyfriend. I'm like, I don't know, I'm like, there's something cute about that. It's like, oh, like the will they, won't they has kind of gone on for so long, and especially the complicated thing of like, right, her and Hoyt, Walker and Emily, and now that Emily's gone, and Hoyt's gone, and just like the complicated thing of the Davidsons, that threw a wrench in the thing. So it is a situation of like filing for them to kind of finally have everything aside and be together is kind of nice. But Jerry's planning a secret birthday party for Walker, who's trying to prepare for like a steak eating contest. He's like trying not to eat his like cupcake that's like a birthday cake of sorts, because he's trying to stay lean and ready for the competition. But they can't go to the competition this episode, sadly, because Cassie showed up, and basically one of the investigations she was working on has found its way to Texas, and they're keeping an eye on these people, and they need to make a move when a buy goes down and we can bust them. So they're kind of on notice for the next 24 hours, so they have to, you know, always be on call. So Walker doesn't get to have that, but the family got together and made sure to have, like, you know, made stakes of their own and kind of held a competition, which was really cute and beautiful. Like, everyone's together because Stella comes back from college. Augie wants to go off to this party, but he's kind of convinced to stay. I love that, like, the reason why this party is so important to Jerry is because she's like, yo, like, Cordell like went above and beyond for my birthday. Like all these places I really wanted to go, I mentioned as a kid, and it's like, and I love that both Abby and Bonham bring up this whole thing of, oh, like, Bonham's like, oh yeah, that's took after his old man, and Abby's like, oh, I raised him right, and they both kind of look at each other like, who's taking credit for Cordell being the romantic that he is? I was like, I love that, and they just exchange stares, and then just the conversation moved on. But I just love that little bit. But yeah, it was just kind of a nice, family get together after everything, just to kind of be able to kind of decompress to some extent with everything that's going on, and it's just kind of fun and nice to kind of get together. Once again, I love the steak eating competition. Everyone just bailing out at different points throughout it. I love that Ben's like, yeah, I'm done, and then Larry's like, are you done? Because if you're done, I'm done. We're done. And it's like, we're done. It's like, okay, we're done. I'm like, I love that. And then ultimately the winner is Trey, but Walker's like, nah, that was a technicality. It's like, no, he finished everything in the hour time limit. He finished before you. You still had like steak on your plate, bro. Wasn't a technicality. He finished everything first and foremost. You only had like 5 minutes left on the clock. So I don't know how you handle that situation. I guess if Walker had finished in enough time, then maybe it would have been a draw. But it's like, I think if you're able to finish first, that means you win. I would assume that's how the rules work, but maybe not. But obviously, like, a big part of this episode wasn't even about the case that Cassie came back to get the team's help for. That's like a minor part of it. It's just about, once again, them coming back together and everything. Because you can tell Trey was a little off about Cassie. Like, right, it's just like, hadn't heard anything from her. But he said, yeah, like I said, it's because she's been worried about all of these, the decisions going to be made. I thought it was interesting where Walker came from it, from the perspective of, right, like, this is a great opportunity. You should take it, that's my 2 cents about it. And he's just like, just don't be a stranger. Because I think for him, it is a thing of, he says, like, right, everyone leaves eventually. It's just a matter of, don't leave forever. Like, do stop by. Don't be a complete stranger. And once again, you had Larry say, like, no, like, kind of weigh your options. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like I said, Cassie doesn't know what she's going to do. Especially how that ties into everything for Cordell, because he let Augie go, like, when Augie's like, oh, I want to go to this party. It's like, oh, but come on, man. This is, like, one of the few times we have no idea how many family get-togethers we'll have. He's like, yeah, but you also told me to enjoy my school life and stuff. It's like, I did, go on. And Jerry's like, oh, I know how tough that was. He's like, no, it isn't that important. He's, like, talking about it in the grand scheme of things. It's like, I was so busy, like, trying not to think about, how things are changing around everywhere that I was, but I did so much to try not to think about it. But he's like, the thing with August kind of was like the dam breaking, because it's like, right now it's like, not only is that, there's August wanting to, it's like, right, he's going to be done with high school soon enough. Obviously, Stella's already living in the dorms in college, so now even Cassie's moving away, and it's just a situation of, once again, things are changing, and he's kind of got to accept that, even though he doesn't want to. It's like, change is a scary thing, but for him, it's more so like the quiet. Like, it's like, because he hasn't had like a quiet home in a very long time. It's like, for things to be quiet again, it's scary, because that's where you get left with your dark thoughts. And Walker even says, like, yeah, I've seen plenty of Rangers kind of lose themselves in those dark thoughts and kind of creep up. But I think it speaks volumes about where Cordell is, that he is open and honest enough to talk about this stuff instead of shouldering it on his own. He's talking about it with Jerry. He's talking about it with someone in general. And I think that shows how much how Cordell's grown over the course of the show. That Cordell we've known in the past would never have been so open about talking about some of this type of stuff, like what he's worried about, what he's concerned about. But I think, like I said, it shows growth. Speaking of Stella, she's still dealing with the aftermath of everything. Yes, it's been 5 months, but it's still traumatic. I'm wondering, is Sadie going to pop up at all this season? Because they were like, yeah, she's going through therapy and stuff like that, but because they went to talk to the cop, and obviously Liam's there for her, considering he was a part of this and everything. So they're trying to find out what the police know. And so we recap some of the stuff that we didn't know based on the police investigation, along with Stella and Sadie's account, but more so like Stella's. It turns out the reason why his body disappeared is they found him in like a car. Like, he had enough strength to get up and drive away. Like, he only made it like 2 miles before he died or something like that. But what I thought was interesting is the cop is like, did you not know why this guy came after you? And Stella's like, yeah, I've never met him before. Which I'm like, why are you lying? Did Sadie suggest that you lie about not knowing him, that you didn't even, that you met him at a party? So, but I'm like, once again, I don't remember season 3 enough to know, like, I don't think anything pertinent came out during that conversation. So why would you cover that up? Like, I'm trying to remember, like, what happened at that party that you just don't want to kind of come out. Like, why would you say, like, oh, I mean, technically you don't know the dude. It's like you bumped into him in a party, but she specifically said, I've never seen him before. So it's like, it felt like, why would you hide that? I don't know. That just seemed interesting. Like I said, maybe it's just because I'm not remembering what happened at that party. Like maybe something went down and that it correlates to what happened, and maybe that's why she's not saying anything. I don't know. But I thought it was a beautiful connection between Liam and her, because she thought, like, right, once this was all behind her, she'd be able to kind of move on, but she's still feeling the same. It's like, right, it was ruled self-defense, though the cop kind of looked a little suspicious, like he knows there's something else that Stella's not telling him, so he probably hasn't fully let this go, but we'll see. I'm curious to see where that storyline goes beyond Stella, if it even does go beyond her. It might just be about what she went through, but it seemed too particular, like, why did he break into Jerry's place, and all that. So it's like, she thought she'd be okay after all of this, but she's not. And Liam's like, it's okay, I understand, because during the situation in season 1, it's like, oh, once he had killed, wasn't he the one that, I think that's what they were talking about, he killed Trevor's dad for killing Hoyt, right? But I'm like, he's like, yeah, that guy was a sociopath, why should I feel guilty about it? And like, Cordell tried to tell him that, but he was like, nah, like, as we both know, I kind of went through it, like, throughout season 2, so it's like, that wasn't something that I was just completely okay with, no matter what the circumstances are. Even it's like, hey, it was a self-defense situation, you stopped the bad guy and just, the gun went off and accidentally killed the guy, it was pure self-defense, it doesn't make it easier, but he's like, it will take time and you will be okay. I thought that was kind of a nice moment between them. But I'm curious to see where that storyline ends up going. We also have Trey and Cordell continuing the Jackal. Once again, I completely forgot about that storyline element. But they're continuing to investigate that without letting James know what they're up to. And while they were like at the party discussing this, Trey found like a new lead that might point to them. Kelly walks in on them discussing stuff, and obviously this was a case that I don't know if they specifically said it's what kind of led to Kelly and Larry getting divorced, but it definitely seems like they might have mentioned it last season, and even if they didn't, it seems like heavily implied, because Larry did make the point of this case cost him a lot, he didn't want to go down that road again. And so Kelly seeing all this firsthand, it's just kind of like, right, he's back, and it's just, she doesn't want Larry to go back through that again, and she makes Cordell promise that he won't tell Larry, because he's like, I won't go to Larry until we've investigated this further and found something of substance. But she's like, even then, do not bring this to Larry. Hold off as long as possible. He's like, I know, because Larry did the same thing for you when it came to Emily, because he loves you and cares about you, and he wanted to do what was right for you and by you, even if you wouldn't agree with it. So I need you to make that promise too. Eventually Larry will find out. The question is how and when. Probably find out on his own, but knowing that like this is something that both Trey and Cordell and Kelly kept from him is probably gonna bother him a lot. But it's also like, right, he even recognizes like, I don't want to be down this path again, but we'll see what ends up happening. It might be a situation where Cordell and Trey have no choice but to tell him, but even they are like, we need to finish this before James even finds out about it. So it's like, we need to shut this down, solve it, resolve it without James even getting involved. Not even, it doesn't seem like a once we've collected enough and it seems definitive, then we'll go to James like they were originally planning. It seems like, no, we're going to skip over that, handle it ourselves before James finds out and spirals out. Because even Trey's like, was it that bad? And we saw Larry was drinking, he wasn't really there, he was a very different person, yes, he can lose his temper, but he lost himself in it, and it's just that darkness. And I love the parallels of he ended up having that conversation with Trey just as he had that conversation with Jerry about Rangers having that darkness, and he saw it eat them up, and he saw what it did to Larry firsthand. And so that's what because Trey was like, right, is it the depravity of this case that really got to him? It's like, no, it's the quiet that really got you. So I thought that was interesting. So that's why Cordell has that even more so of like why he's scared of the quiet, because he saw it firsthand what that did. I mean, he was able to put a lot of ghosts to rest last season to some extent, with a lot of the past coming for it the way it did, but generally speaking, there's just a lot with this job. I think that, you know, the quiet's able to like the quiet like brings a lot of that darkness, you know, that you have to deal with on a daily basis. It keeps it constantly, you know, in your head, and you can't just quite shake it. So not quite sure what to expect from the rest of the season. Obviously, that being a major through line, the whole Jackal situation, but beyond that, like I said, the Stella situation, like how that will carry on, and just where the Walker family, just the extent that includes the extended family, like Cassie, Larry, and Trey, like in that regard, like that extended family, like where everyone's stories end up taking them. This season is going to be interesting because I'm going into the season knowing nothing at all because I did not watch the trailer for this season, so I didn't even have an idea of what to even fully expect going into it. So I'm excited to see where this ultimately ends up taking us. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. So the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.